yeah, how you can actually listen to your body and let it decide on the right New Year's resolutions, if you want to call them that, for you. And before we start, I just want to remind everyone watching that I am offering currently free discovery calls. If you want to, if you're interested in the information I share tonight and you're curious about how you can make 2020 the year that you really learn how to heal yourself, and also how to use the information from your body to transform your life at a deep level, then just comment with a Y in the comments and I will send you a link that you can book a free 30 to 40-minute call to explore your health and your situation and what you would like to happen for yourself and others during that time. See what's possible. So for anyone who doesn't know me, you probably mostly do, my name's Sam Neffendorf and I help people with chronic physical and mental health conditions to actually get really clear on the precise root cause of their health condition, whatever it is, and then use that knowledge to learn how to become the expert in their own body, how it responds to whatever's going on in their life, and then be able to heal themselves, and not only heal themselves but also use that information to transform their life, or helping them to avoid years of unnecessary suffering, because they don't need to continue to suffer with these conditions. There's many things that can be done even for so-called unhealable conditions, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Also potentially saving thousands of pounds, dollars, euros on trying every treatment under the sun without actually knowing what the root cause is, which is really important if you're trying to heal, and then ultimately using what they learn from their body to live a life more in line with who they are, which is really the subject of tonight's watch party. So yeah, so hope everyone has had a either peaceful or exciting or enjoyable or combination of everything holiday season so far. And there's, if you're into that kind of thing, there's just a couple more days of partying and eating too much, well, unless you're in Spain like me, in which case it all goes on until the at least the 6th of January, which is when things are mostly 5th and 6th, when there's a big celebration over here for 12th night. So yeah, so we've got to go a bit longer, but for most of us, we're nearly there now, nearly made it through. So yeah, so then it's time after that to make that sacred vow, the New Year's resolution. Or is it? Because, you know, is New Year's Day, is it just another day, the same as any other day? Why should it be so special? Well, actually, it is a time that is really geared up for change, because in our collective psyche, we have this, we're kind of conditioned at a very deep level that this is a time that we can make changes in our lives. Unfortunately, it's also, we've got a very deep conditioning that we often let these, after just a few weeks, if not a few hours, whatever the habit that we were trying to create or the habit that we're trying to let go of either creeps back in, or we go back to our old ways. So this is such a big thing for people that, you know, a lot of people just decide, actually, I'm not even going to bother. There might be things I want to change in my life, but, you know, every time I try to do something, then, you know, I just sabotage myself. Things don't work out. Now, you know, that is a big thing, and we'll look at what you can do about that so that you don't bail and maybe just end up left, you know, with a monthly direct debit of your gym membership coming out just to remind you of how badly you did with your New Year's resolutions. Now, if you're just joining, then please say hi, all comments, all questions gratefully received. I'll do my best to answer questions either as we go or certainly at the end. Be delighted to do that. And yeah, I'd also really appreciate any likes, any heart reacts, anything like that, just to help to get this out to more people. That would be really, really appreciated. Yeah, so yeah, maybe disheartened by New Year's resolutions and what they mean. Just one moment. So if that's the case, let's look at how we can do something about this. There are ways to make them stick. And I think one of the most important things to make sure that any sort of habit change sticks is that it's actually in line with who you are. So you're in alignment with whatever it is that you're trying to do. And with goals in anyone's life, people set goals which are often based on not them. So based on their conditioning, based on what they've been taught or told that they should have in their life. And this is, this is not a very healthy way to set goals. But you could say it's based on conditioning, really, based on mind control. Yeah, just seen a great comment from Jen. Incurable means healing from within is the best option. Indeed. I don't know if that makes sense, but there we go. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of people set these goals which aren't really what they want. They're just what they've been conditioned to want, and they're not really coming from a place of their own inner knowing, their own understanding. So how do you get into alignment? Well, there are lots of different ways. Get ready, get set over the next few days. Your inbox, my inbox, everybody's inbox is going to be inundated with all of these different ways that you can set goals differently, really create, all this new year, new you kind of stuff going on. And I don't really think like that. It's more about how to become more yourself rather than trying to change yourself. It's how to shed the layers of the conditioning and mind control which actually don't really resonate with who you are at deep subconscious level, so that you can so that you're in alignment with what you're trying to do and moving towards a life that is really yours rather than the off the peg template life that so many people find themselves stuck in to a greater or lesser degree. And if that does fit with some people, and that's fine. But if it doesn't, then this sort of domestication is something that stops people from really living in a fulfilling way. So yeah, many methods to get into alignment and create intentions, outcomes, resolutions that are what you really are aligned with. And I'm going to be sharing probably in the next few days as well some of those, some other versions. But what I want to talk about tonight is, and this is where it might sound a bit strange, but if you have body symptoms going on, if you have health symptoms, if you have illness of some sort, whether it's a chronic health condition, a recurring condition, some sort of pain, a serious health condition even, psychological behavior patterns such as anxiety or depression, then you are actually at an advantage in choosing intentions that are truly aligned with who you are. And now that might not sit well with you if you are thinking, hang on, you saying my illness is a good thing. You might be ready to tell me to go and get stuffed or something far ruder. And of course, I get it. Like, why should you feel that there are some benefits to any horrible debilitating, miserable symptoms that you might have been struggling with for a very long time, putting up with, resisting, not able to shift. Totally understand that that might not be at first a message that you expect, that your illness actually enables you to get more deeply into alignment with yourself and gives you real clues. But there are, in whatever health condition, physical, mental, psychological, emotional, whatever it is, even very serious, there are some secrets in those symptoms that you can use to actually transform your life. Now, we've all been conditioned, of course. We all grew up in a world, to a greater or lesser degree, depending on, you know, on our family and what they were into, etc. But we all grew up with the Newtonian understanding that when an illness happens, it means that something's gone wrong in your body. It means that a part of your body or something's happened in your brain that's caused a malfunction. Now, yeah, then what you have to do is go and try and fix it, patch it up, have some sort of symptom treatment from a doctor, and you know, and many of these are really good. So it's not to say no, that's rubbish. These symptom treatments can be very, very useful for things such as keeping you alive and helping you to really manage symptoms so that you can continue in your life to whatever degree. But I want to just share a point of view, which I'm sure you've heard me share before, that the body is intelligent, and whatever symptoms you're experiencing are part of it always attempting to heal. And I don't just mean heal the symptoms themselves. I mean, they're actually giving you messages of how to heal parts of your life that aren't in alignment with you. So each symptom, whatever it is, whatever's going on in your body, in body tissues, whatever's going on in your mental behavior patterns, anxiety, depression, whatever it is, they've all got specific reasons that they're happening, but filtered through your own perceptions and beliefs, of course. So everyone is slightly different. There's not just a book where you go, oh yes, that means this must be happening for me, but there's similarities and there's similar understandings, so that, yeah, whatever is happening, it's your body is basically telling you that there are things that you need to address to get your life more on track and create a better, more in tune life for yourself. So this isn't just my mad ramblings. There's lots of evidence to back this up. If you look at any of the research into epigenetics, look at everything that's come from German new medicine, and which has evolved into meta consciousness that I am involved with. These are ways that you can actually explore symptoms and understand them, and what the body is trying to achieve, what it's trying to show you, what you need to do, what you can do to actually become shed conditioning, no longer need the body's symptom in your life, and be able to move forwards. I've done lots of lives on this, so there's lots on specific symptoms, and very happy to try and answer any questions that anyone's got on specific symptoms when we come to the end, and certainly in a discovery call if you want that. But what I want to really talk about now is how it can affect your intentions and your New Year's resolutions. So as I said, your body and mind is always trying to heal you and encourage you to follow a path that fits in with your own unique self. And if you look at, in any moment, at your body like a snapshot of your health at any time, then whatever is going on is a reflection of your inner world. So all of the symptoms, they're like a mosaic showing what's happening in your mind and where you are out of tune, out of alignment, and with those understandings, what you can do to actually get back towards that. So yeah, the healing isn't just about clearing the symptoms, it's about actually really moving on from them and into a greater life, healing your life, shedding what's not you, and truly, yeah, becoming you. So any questions at this stage, or any points, anything that anyone would like to say on this, anything you want me to answer? Just feel free at any time to put anything in the comments, and I'll definitely make sure that I come to it. So yeah, so how do you get what your body's trying to tell you? Well, you need to decode the messages, and then it's not then giving you a one way forwards into healing. What this does is it then gives you many choices. You can choose how you heal, including physical healing stuff such as diet, exercise, etc., lifestyle changes that resolve the resolve whatever is happening, and that, you know, that's really where things like New Year's resolutions are going to come in. Releasing old traumas, and releasing old behavior patterns, old beliefs, creating new habits, perhaps deepening your connection to an understanding of your own inner self and spiritual connection as well. So yeah, so once you've decoded the secrets that are in your symptoms, then you can understand exactly what beliefs, habits, past traumatic events, lifestyle factors, etc., you need to change in order to actually heal your life. So I'm going to give you some examples now. So some actual symptoms. This works for absolutely any symptom, any body symptom, any symptom going on in your mental state. These all have specific reasons that they're happening. So, but I'll give you some that are, but yeah, they're very common ones, so might make some sense to people here, and also they are very they're quite easy to understand, these ones. So there's some quite complex ones, especially when you're looking at multiple symptoms going on at one time. But yeah, we start with chronic or recurring muscular skeletal pain. Just one moment. Could also be restriction of movement. Anything that's happening in your muscular skeletal system pretty much points to some form of way that you are devaluing yourself. So a self-devaluation conflict that you're either stuck in constantly, or you keep getting re-triggered into through events going on in your life. Could be seeing a certain person, could be going to work on a Monday morning and suddenly that's when symptoms flare up, or whatever. There's lots of different things that could be, but it's a self-value devaluation. It's usually about not being strong or capable enough in a certain area of life. So you see why it fits in with the muscles, the skeleton, because it's about strength, capability, being able to actually impact on the world. And what's really important is that the body location that's affected also has a specific meaning. So a couple of examples: the whole skeleton, the whole body, all the different parts have specific meanings. But an example, if you've got recurring pain in the lower spine, then this is often to do with a core central personality devaluation, and it's generally about things like feeling defeated in some way, or feeling like you can't cope with too much pressure. So these are the sorts of things that lead to lead to pain in and around the spine. So shoulders is a really good example, and if it's either shoulder, then it might relate to feeling self-devaluation, so not feeling acceptable, not feeling good enough, the universal limiting belief of I'm not good enough as a parent, partner, or child. So specifically towards family relationships. So yeah, so yeah, if it's on both shoulders, it could relate to bearing the weight of the world on your shoulders. You know, the classic, like that Titan who had that whole world on his shoulders. Now, how does this fit with New Year's resolutions, I hear you ask? Well, because basically, when you've got the understanding of what's going on, then there's some things that you can do to actually resolve the pain and move forwards into a better life. So firstly, of course, is really important is healing the past, healing the effect of the past on you. So that's releasing the emotional charge, the beliefs connected to the pattern, the good enough belief, or I'm not strong enough, I'm not worthy, I'm a bad parent, whatever it is. But then yeah, and it could be specifically, you know, if it was, let's say that lowest one might be a failure in business, or having to accept that you hate your job or something like that, and that you're stuck in there. Or it, you know, it could be a specific events with a family one, a sad look in your children's eyes that haunts you when you think about how you couldn't be with them because you had to work and you knew, but for them, that look in their eyes struck you, and it left an imprint, left a mark. So in those cases, you know, it could be as simple as that as to what you need to release. But then there's the resolution part, the New Year's resolution, committing to habits that are online with a new habit, a new pattern that you want to have. So, you know, this might be actually taking up a positive practice to release yourself from stress and pressure, whether that's mindful meditation, my favorite, of course, tapping and tapping techniques, having a daily process around that, opening up to new potential options without feeling pressure in your business and work. Whatever, could be in any area of life. These are just ones that I'm coming up with. Committing to regular time and with your children, and have them understanding that this is time with me. You know, we're going to, you know, make sure time that is always there, or almost always there, going to be available. Just seeing that there's a question, Laurie. That's a great question, and so about someone's direction in life, and yeah, body is yeah, well, there are lots of ways to explore that. Now, if he's got symptoms, then he can use those to tune in. But certainly something that I could talk to you about. I might come onto it a bit more at the end. So yeah, so that is musculoskeletal, self-evaluation, and the resolutions, the New Year's resolutions, or the any time of life resolutions, could be around yeah, basically what you can, how you can prove to yourself with the actions that you take that actually you are able to, you are able to be strong in the world. You are enough. You can handle whatever the situation is, or you can accept it and in a different direction and be flexible, not be rigid. So many things you can do. They're all going to be different for each individual because of our own perceptions, and you just have to, once you understand what's going on in your body, then you can create those ways forward. So another symptom, really massive one, which really covers a lot of things with a lot of people, is fatigue. So fatigue is, you know, it's something on its own. I've done quite a lot of work on burnout recently, exploring people with burnout, and often to do with work, but it can also fit in with big diagnoses such as chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, etc. And from the meta perspective, fatigue is about the adrenals basically are shutting off your energy because you've been on the wrong path for too long. So you're taking wrong action, not being on a path that actually resonates with you internally, doing it because of your conditioning, your domestication, And yeah, your body's saying, your subconscious through your body is saying, well, enough, you're not having the energy to do that, it's not in line with who you are. And so people struggle and struggle and struggle until eventually it gets chronic, basically. So, you know, as we've talked about quite a lot already, we're in a world where people are conditioned to not be on their path. Most domesticated species on the planet, and species don't really thrive in domestication. If you look at animals, they don't thrive in domestication. And while it has brought us lots of benefits in our lives, actually, there have been, you know, we've never felt more isolated. Many people have never felt more isolated than they do now, even with all the technology supposedly connecting us. So there are some real struggles around domestication. And these can really lead to people, you know, really being out of line with who they are. You know, not to mention that from birth and even before, we're being conditioned. So we're getting well-meaning conditioning from our families, culture, religion, education, really praising patterns of behavior which restrict our individual freedom and evolution. And we kind of need that in our early lives, because we've got to download so much information in order to actually fit in with the tribe or whatever. However, you know, the structures are, well, as I think we all know, they're dysfunctional. They aren't really working in our best interests. They're no longer relevant to our expansion, or not in every way. They're not, you know, while we live in, you know, pretty amazing times in a lot of ways, there's still a lot of problems with some of the ways that society is, and the restriction and perceived and limitations that stop us from being truly who we want to be. So a lot of people never really get to express themselves fully, and they can end up living secondhand lives for someone else's benefit. And probably the biggest example of this, which I've talked about before, is the work that many people find themselves just falling into. I mean, it's certainly my story. I spent 12 years doing something pretty miserable and working in financial services before EFT and tapping helped me to escape, which was fantastic. So yeah, we do this work devoid of personal meaning just to pay the bills. And, you know, again, having a job is right for many people. It's absolutely fine. There's no judgment on that. But for some people, it doesn't. It's not fulfilling, or they're in the wrong job and they need to find something different to do. So yeah, but you can get obviously your meaning and fulfillment in other areas of life than your work. And it does seem to be, from the research I did on burnout, it does seem to be the biggest thing that's driving people to burnout. It can, you know, other things could be not being able to make choices, having too much stress around choices, not being in good relationships, etc., but still going against your inner self to try and maintain a relationship. So yeah, this adrenal fatigue, aka burnout, but also fatigue in many other conditions, kicks in when you're using your energy for the wrong thing, basically. So just to save your job, or something else that's not in line with yourself. So yeah, so in that case, what's the solution? What is the New Year's resolution, the resolution? So, well, firstly, of course, if it's your job, it's not necessarily to just tell your boss to stick it, because that's not necessarily going to be ecological. It might suddenly leave you unable to pay the rent, unable to pay your bills, and so there's going to be an acceptance around that, and actually using whatever techniques to accept your situation. Acceptance is very important, very powerful. And then, you know, but maybe perhaps creating a plan, creating a vision. And that's really key for people with fatigue, because they're not necessarily immediately able to go and just do everything that they want to do. It might, they've sunk to a point where where small things are big deals to them. So it might be about recognizing those mini achievements, mini things that they're able to do But yeah, just an example. I've worked with someone who was close to retirement, waiting for their pension to be available, and this person was had lots of different symptoms going on, physical symptoms. But one of the things was that they were able to change their relationship with work and see that they had to just wait out to be able to move towards the pension. And actually, as often happens with tapping, amazing things happen. And this particular person was actually able to get an early things transpired so that they were able to get an early settlement, which actually kept them so they were able to leave their job surprisingly quicker than they would, and then be able to actually get their pension funds at the standard time. But yeah, so having, again, looking at ways, resolutions to start really accepting life and looking consciously at what you can do to transform your situation in a way that's really fulfilling for you. So perhaps really getting in touch with your own values, using them to create a vision, and then habits that lead you towards those things in your life. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, for a foundation of really understanding personal values, creating a life that fulfills them, gently, step by step, creating habits that move you towards that, perhaps with a goal in the future to move towards, rather than it has to happen right now. And of course, as with everything, resolving the past traumas is really important as well. What can you do to go more back forwards rather to your natural way of being, and take a risk of fully expressing yourself, and also understanding the potential consequences, so that so that you don't make these non-ecological rash decisions, which can often cause more harm than good when things all just get to be too much. Well, okay, so we looked at pain, we looked at fatigue. Now, if anyone's got any particular questions or any conditions that I may or may not have the answer to on the tip of my tongue, but I can certainly try, or just anything about the information that they've received so far, then please write it in the comments. Very happy to answer. And if you're watching this as a replay, then you can still comment, and I will be very happy to answer there as well. So yeah, coming back to pain and fatigue. So the two of them. Now, if we look at a condition or a diagnosis which certainly combines those two, for many people who experience this particular diagnosis, is chronic fatigue, or also known as ME in the UK. And this is this is a label. So we actually look behind the label and look at the individual symptoms and find how they're all interacting together to see the unique experience for each individual and what it means to them. However, broadly, most people with ME, chronic fatigue conditions, experience fatigue and pain, musculoskeletal pain of some sort. So, if you start thinking, and they're probably going to have lots of other symptoms going on as well as those. Different ones. Everyone's experience is unique. That's why we have to look at the individual, their own perceptions, their own beliefs, and the changes that they can make to actually transform things. But yeah, if we just think of it as a mosaic, the mosaic of all of the symptoms, can you see how the self-devaluation might kick in alongside the fatigue, the self-evaluation, causing the pain, might kick in afterwards, after the fatigue, which causes someone to no longer feel as strong or as capable, as they once were, and it starts to create a snowball effect of different symptoms happening. So one symptom can actually lead to another, all from one initial situation happening, one event or belief system or behavior pattern that has, or theme in life that has led to, yeah, let's say the fatigue happened first, then, you know, oh, I'm really not able to cope anymore, and then this starts leading to the situation that ultimately leads to muscular skeletal pain. So in situations like this, then, you know, what we've talked about already, looking at ways to feel better about yourself, and also and being and understanding your ability to cope or move forwards in a new way rather than trying to go back to how you were. That's really important. It's about what you're moving forwards to, not trying to get back to how you were, which is how you got ill in the first place. So yeah, so really then getting that, yes, I can do this, I'm strong enough to be in the world, as well as getting forwards onto your path. So recognizing where you weren't on your path that led to the adrenals sort of shutting down in the first place, and then moving forwards. Then there could be a whole bunch of resolutions there, but trying to resolve them all at once, of course, might be far too much of a disturbance in the force. Too big, and you know, this could then lead to very, you know, even feeling worse, or just giving up very quickly, just thinking this is too much. And you know, so in this case, even having an inspiring vision of what you're moving forwards to, or like a dream for your life, and actually starting to use visualization techniques, things like that, just to connect to that, could be an example of a resolution to start you moving towards something. And as I, you know, and I said already, just recognizing, acknowledging the tiny steps rather than trying to do too much at once. So yeah, there's some examples. Anything else that any other situations that anyone would like me to explore? Any questions that you've got about what I've talked about tonight, or meta consciousness in general? While we're waiting for them, yeah, I'm going to put in the comments a guide called 7 Pillars of Vitality that you can download, which is something that I put together, and it includes lots of examples of different practices, different things you might want to consider at physical, energetic, emotional, spiritual, intellectual levels, which could all be good examples of New Year's resolutions, I guess you could say, new habits, new behaviors, new things to try, which might, you know, might fit in with symptoms. So I'll just put I haven't got the link here now, but I'll put that in the comments afterwards, so you can get hold of that if you want that. And as I also mentioned, I'm offering these free discovery calls. So if you want to create a thriving and healthy life in 2020 and beyond, if you're sick and tired of your ongoing health condition, even if you've been told that it is, what's the word, incurable, so curable from within, as we heard earlier from Jen, then yeah, feel free to just either message me or just stick a Y or any comment in the comments, and I'll send you a message with how you can book one of those calls and look at exploring a way forwards. Okay, so any questions, any thoughts, any reacts, anything? Yeah, so let's see, another example. Just a couple more examples then of health conditions and what they might mean. Now, eczema. So now I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, but broadly, it's in a similar way to musculoskeletal conditions. Wherever you have eczema on your body has a particular meaning, and it also relates to separation conflicts generally. So some form of conflict over separation, either wanting to be with someone or something, missing that touch is the metaphor for it, or wanting to be away from, so wanting to escape from touch. So separation conflict, either towards conflict, wanting someone or something to be towards you, or wanting someone or something to be away from you. So finding ways, again, there's going to be, of course, trauma, emotional attachments to resolve, which things like EFT, matrix, NLP, hypnosis are very good for doing. And also then there's, how can you actually resolve the separation conflict with a new habit, with new behaviors? So perhaps it could be something around healing, like resolving to heal a rift with a family member. If you find that that's the root cause, might be with friends, could be a separation from yourself, could be a separation from your path. These things can all, separation conflicts, whatever that means to the individual, can lead to different places that eczema is forming on the body, or other skin conditions, of course, all slightly different meanings, but yeah, eczema is perhaps the easiest one to for most people to understand, and that it's a separation conflict. So what behavior, what New Year's resolution could you put in place in order to actually, to resolve, to be resolving that at that lifestyle change level, as well as releasing the traumas and emotional blocks that are in its place. And I'll just talk quickly about a mental behavior pattern, so a psychological behavior pattern. Probably the easiest one to talk about is anxiety, and behavior patterns happen generally when there's more than one traumatic event or life pattern happening, and rather than the body taking the brunt, body tissue taking on the healing cycle, it goes into the brain and becomes the two things, which is a behavior pattern. Now, anxiety, there are several different types of anxiety that we recognise. The most common one that most people seem to have is the forward-facing anxiety, which comes from feeling powerless and feeling literally attacked or metaphorically attacked from the front. So it could be fear of what's going to happen in the future, alongside with powerlessness. So again with that, then it's about really understanding where it's come from, and then starting to create, if it was a New Year's resolution that you were looking for, then what could actually enable you to feel powerful. So just off the top of my head, things that people have, things that I know really benefited people, perhaps training in martial arts or self-defense, those sorts of things. That, if your anxiety literally came from being attacked at some point. So of course you've got to let go of the past things through using techniques to help you to accept, understand, and move on from them. But then then there's the lifestyle changes that you can put in place. So this is where the purpose of using your body to create New Year's resolutions or resolutions for any time in life. So okay, so still a few people here. Thanks very much. Oh, okay, so just had a question actually. Digestive issues. Wow. Lots. Okay, so digestive issues, pancreatitis, gallbladder, post removal. Right. Okay. So so lots of things going on there, but digestive issues. Well, there's lots of body tissues. There's lots of different tissues going on in the digestive tract, and if it's happening in the upper digestive tract, so for example things like reflux, then it's often to do with finding something hard to swallow, not being able to stomach a piece of information, those sorts of things. And it's literally very metaphorical as to what's happening in the digestive tract. And then, you know, when you're getting into the lower digestive tract, then it's often to do with, and this is where, you know, the body doesn't lie, it's quite blunt. It's things to do with like a shitty situation, or trying to, holding on to a grudge. So literally, you know, it's like a metaphor and literally a shitty situation in life. So the irritation, and depending on where it is in the bowel and which part of the digestive system, could be how indigestible, how you cannot stomach this. It literally, like, yeah, it's a grudge you just haven't been able to let go of, you haven't been able to expel a grudge, those sorts of things. It's not always a grudge, but that's a very common one. It's, you know, holding on to a resentment of some kind if it's in the lower tract, and if it's in the upper, then not being able to stomach something, having to, you know, feeling that you have to expunge a piece of information, something that's happened in your life. I couldn't swallow that. You know, like, what's the classic one that people say? Oh, I couldn't talk with them. I'd choke on my words. That sort of thing. So these are the sorts of things that you're looking for. But you have, yeah. But it's important really to look at the individual tissues, really. And when you know exactly what the digestive issue is, then then that can be really, really useful in actually getting a resolution there. Okay, so the other one, pancreatitis, gallbladder. Again, there are, I don't know the exact theme behind pancreatitis, but it's, you know, it's going to be something around. Have to look at exactly which tissues are affected there, but it's going to be something probably around sweetness in life. You look at the function of the pancreas, and also really important is what that organ means to the individual as well. So we always explore the meanings to the individual as well as the themes that we think, because it's not just a book. It's not just like open the book and find the exact reason. So yeah, then it's like, you know, what is the function of that? What does it mean to that client that they're having this going on? Gallbladder post removal. Well, off the top of my head, gallbladder, I don't have the theme. So I'm very happy to comment, to talk about it. Perhaps I'll answer in the comments. But what I can say is, post removal, that means that there is a definite trauma there, because even though whoever it was had knew they were having an operation is, the body subconsciously takes that as an attack on the body. So as well as whatever the underlying root cause for for whatever was going on in the gallbladder is, that would be important to resolve. But also you need to resolve the trauma of the operation itself. So so it's basically like treating a trauma with whatever techniques. I like EFT, matrix reimprinting, very powerful, but people use all sorts of ways to actually resolve that. So that's the same, anytime there's been an operation of any kind, even a tooth extraction, even an injection, anything like this, it's still taken by the body as an attack. So there's going to be something to resolve there. So, okay, so yeah, I know that doesn't completely answer the question, but I'll put some more detail in the comments afterwards on those specific meanings of those body tissues. And yeah, it's been a long live. Anyone got any comments or any further thoughts? Just like to thank you all for being here. Great that you were. Just see if there's any more comments that come up in the over here. Right. Let's look at the watch party. I know some of you are here in the watch party. Okay, so right, I think that's it. Thank you very much for being here. If you have got any questions, or if you'd like to specifically, okay, are phobias a behavioural change from trauma? So it could be that trauma, yes, certainly. It can come through from things like ancestral patterns. They could be, it might not even be your trauma. You might have noticed your mum, sorry to say mum, could be dad, of course, jumping up on the bed and screaming when a tiny spider ran across the room when you were tiny. So that was like a trauma, because you've seen that this is a dangerous thing, because your caregiver is terrified by this thing. So that might create the create a trauma effect in your body, even though the trauma wasn't directly for you. Now, I treat them, it's going to be largely like the forward-facing anxiety, or it could be like a backwards-facing anxiety. It could be a phobia of something happening, behind you or whatever. But it's going to be involving a belief of powerlessness against whatever the trigger, the spider, the public speaking, whatever it is. It's going to be about a powerlessness and a fear of it coming towards you, like a freeze response. Certainly with that public speaking, might have been a freeze response at school, something like that led to it. But rather than becoming a general type anxiety, it's become very related to the specific stressor. The spider, the public speaking, the whatever there is, the sock puppet, whatever it is. Okay. Oh, and just on that note with phobias, called allergies. So allergies are very similar to a phobia. Although not necessarily an anxiety, they are actually the body reacting to something that's already a stressor that's already inside, rather than a stressor that's already that's outside of the body. So the body's created a connection between between having something, pollen or whatever, and a trauma from the past that happened at a time that, let's say, there was pollen in your system. Now, all of these can come through from ancestral patterns as well, so you can pick them up epigenetically through your family lineage, because of course people are born with allergies, and in that case I'll definitely be looking at ancestral patterns and resolving them. Okay, so thyroid. Right, so thyroid, there are various tissues in the thyroid. So it depends on which particular condition, whether it's hypothyroid or hyperthyroid, and there's nuances with things like Hashimoto's as well. They've got slightly different meanings, but broadly, the thyroid conditions are either to do with, and they can be to do with both of these things, feeling powerless in a situation. So it actually can be one of the triggers for going into an anxiety conflict, powerlessness, or it can be not having been it's not being quick enough, or not having been quick enough to achieve something. So like missing out on something in life, and sort of have the regret of that, and not having been fast enough, not having been able to not even having been able to fulfill something. And if you think about it, often is coupled with the adrenals as well. So the adrenals are often triggered as well as the thyroid. So having not been able to achieve, not being able to catch the prize, thyroid triggered, and then as a result not feeling on your path, not using your energy effectively, adrenals triggered. Right, upper respiratory issues, lots of tissues there, lots of different body tissues. So it depends on which part of the the tract it is, whether it's in the lungs, whether it's things, alveoli, the membranes, they've all got different meanings. So there's really a lot going on in the lungs. Often now, quite a few of the lung tissues. Just think about the function of the lungs if they've been triggered in some way. It's about getting more breath in to be able to resolve a situation, to have more oxygen effectively. So yeah, so why is that happening? That's the thing to explore there, really. It can be around fear of death in some way, can be something that often triggers lung conditions, but because there's so many tissues, I can't really give an accurate answer just from upper respiratory. It would just be something that I would have to maybe look into with more detail. Okay, great. So thank you very much. Great to get some questions. I hope that the answers helped. I'm just going back to a question about someone seeking direction in college and career path. So tuning into inner wisdom for guidance. So yeah, feeling what's resonant in his body. So okay, so how I would approach this is I would do a values exploration with this and actually start looking into values and creating a vision based on the values. So not just a vision. To actually, yeah, he might be a very logical person, perhaps, in which case actually getting things down on paper might be really valuable to him. Values, valuable, etc. But yeah, so actually doing a values exercise and then using that to create a vision, which is something he can really get inspired by, and then what fits into creating that vision of his life. So sometimes it's not always just about an emotional tuning in, actually using values to really create an inspiring vision for your life based and proper goals based on what your value system is, and then how can you move towards that, what at college is best going to serve him in moving towards that, really. Right, okay, so yeah, some great questions there. Just going to hold on for another minute in case anyone's got any more questions. Yeah, of course, as I said, if you want I'll put a link to the 7 pillars of vitality with some ideas and suggestions. It's really lists of different things that you can do in your physical, psychological, emotional, energetic, and connection to other things, belief systems, etc. Some ideas of what you could explore, but some of them might be valuable as things that you could explore in the new year. So I'll make sure that's available, and I'll also put a link for anyone that is curious about exploring their own symptoms individually and what they might mean from this perspective, and then what they can do to actually not only heal themselves but also create a better life, really doing the things that are in line with who they are. So thank you very much for joining. Really enjoyed it tonight, and still available to answer questions in the comments even afterwards. I'll be checking in for the next day or so, making sure I answer them all. Thanks very much. Okay, so I'll go count down from 10 in my head, and then I'm going to end the live video. So 5, 4. Now, thank you. Happy New Year too. Right. Yep. Of course, I should really say that. Happy New Year. I hope you all have an amazing, inspiring 2020. Of course, there's going to be plenty more of this sort of stuff happening in the new year from me and from the countless other people who are all on it. So lots of love. Have a fantastic 2020 and a fantastic rest of 2019. Toodle pip. Bye for now.